How's it going, dudes? So you want to make your very own board game, but crucially lack some key components for that goal: a manufacturer, a distributor, and a functioning frontal lobe. But never fear. With the innovations brought forth by the digital world, it is now easier than ever for you to transfer your mental illness directly onto the board for thousands to enjoy. The future is now. Tabletop Simulator, the premier go-to destination for playing homemade games with your friends online. Tabletop Sim allows players to utilize dozens of creative tools to create their own games that they can either share privately with those friends or upload to the Steam Workshop for other players to try out. And when your only barriers to entry are a $20 game purchase and the free version of Canva, you will find yourself with a lot of unique offerings. This workshop is filled to the brim with titles all over the quality spectrum. On one end, there are ports of classic games that you may want to play with friends, or some creative original titles that you wouldn't be able to try anywhere else. And on the other end, you have the real stars of the show, like Go Fish for Freaks. Of course, this is the end that we'll be focusing on. I have scrolled through approximately 40,000 tabletop workshop entries in order to bring back to you a hand-selected collection of the worst and weirdest the community has on offer. Now, just because the games make it on here doesn't mean they are automatically bad. That's where the weirdest tag comes in. In fact, you can't even judge many of these as you would a normal board game, as if you did, what game could possibly rank below Turkish Monopoly? I can think of one. Turkish Monopoly Erdogan Special Edition, recommended for only expert, hardcore Monopoly players. Remember, real Monopoly experts know that the orange go-to-jail spaces are far better than the blue go-to-jail spaces. Turkish Monopoly is a simple little game. Adorned with the positively stunning profile of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, you attempt to move around the board and then go to jail. Along the way, you can also pay various taxes and draw chance cards that give you wondrous effects like paying more taxes, getting slapped by inflation, or of course, going to jail. The last player standing wins. I think my favorite part of this one is that they erased one of the zeros on the go space, so now you only get $20 when you pass. Really just brings the whole project together, that one. Seeing as this follows standard Monopoly rules, this game would take absolutely forever to complete, as you would need to go to jail 30 different times before you eventually went bankrupt. And if you last all 3 turns before you have to pay to get out, you could end up lasting up to 91 turns before you run out of money. Putting in good work on that punch card, 10 turns in jail in a row and I get a free sub. And that is all there is to Turkish Monopoly. I recommend that you enjoy this first group of games that are all very small and simple, because they are a lot easier to digest than the latter group, which all take at least 9 hours. Staying in the simple group, we have another original product in the amazingly unfortunate race. This game sees you and your friends take control of various vehicles as you try to make your way around the track. Each vehicle carries its own unique speed, as well as how many turns it will last before it breaks and you need to find a new one. Event cards will either help or harm you or the other racers, and the first player to complete a certain number of laps wins. The Amazingly Unfortunate Race is an extremely stupid game full of extremely stupid vehicles, as the main theme here is you bumbling your way hopping from one vehicle to the next to complete laps by any means necessary, like you're in Rat Race. Some of the legendary rides at your disposal include the original Beetle, a worn jalopy, a pogo stick, a bottle rocket powered skateboard, the house from Up, a giant slingshot, a pair of Heelys, Uber Plus, and Uber Premium, a big rock, a penny farthing, a parachute, which is not much help on the ground, a dinghy, which doesn't work so well on land, and a fridge in a nuclear blast. Make sure you got that seatbelt on, it might be a bumpy ride. This collection of vehicles, combined with the wide variety of helpful event cards on offer, ensures that it is going to take ages for you to complete any more than one lap. Not helped by the fact that during my test run of this, I found myself moving backwards about as much as I was moving forwards. If you do decide to run this one, make it a one-lap dash for a quick, chaotic game. Unless you're aiming for torture, which, honestly, I'm gonna guess is gonna be a good chunk of ya. Next up, we have Ultimate Jenga. Not to be confused with fish Jenga, that is an entirely separate, very real project. Honestly, if you can imagine it, it's probably in the workshop somewhere. Ultimate Jenga sees the standard Jenga tower expanded from 3 blocks per level to the much more manageable 14 blocks per level. Not only that, but it tasks you with moving around the board on the outside, which will force you to undertake tougher challenges, like taking 6 blocks from the tower instead of 1, or stacking an extra 12 on top. If you make the tower fall, you lose. Okay, this one doesn't seem too bad. This tower has a lot of support on it, so I can pretty easily get a block right from the bottom. Let me just grab one real quick and... Alright, I guess I'll try to stack this. Unfortunate. Yeah, due to the way objects are picked up in Tabletop Sim, trying to grab any of the blocks will instantly lose you the game. So you are going to instead have to try to flick them out and then stack them after if you want any chance at all. Also, God help you if you land on this space and have to use the Gizmo Rotate tool. It is actually impossible to select the entire tower, so you are nearly guaranteed to move something into another object and then watch on in horror as the entire tower explodes. Next up, we've got Our World 2 board game. This is actually a port of a game that I believe is featured in the English textbook Welcome to Our World 2 2nd Edition by Nat Geo Learning, meaning that if you wanted to play this game in real life, you would need to pay $52.95 for the privilege. That's not a purchase, that right there is an investment. How the game works is you roll the absolutely massive die, consult the roll value chart, and then move the amount of spaces based on that value. First person to reach the finish wins and gets the incredible opportunity to look and play, ask and answer, work in groups. Hey man, monkey on a skateboard? Don't have to ask me twice. Alongside these standard spaces, like this girl who is locked in to this paper heart, we have some effect spaces as well. For instance, you could hop in a circle, forget your gloves, or let everyone listen to some beautiful music. Really helps to set the mood! There is also the opportunity to sing your favorite song, making this a phenomenal title for bringing that extra flair to karaoke night. If only we could fly! This game is one of the many ports of existing titles that you will find on the platform that allow people to try out games that they would normally never get the chance to play. I myself have uploaded some of these ports with the help of the MPs from the Patreon as a way for people to experience these older or rarer games. Stuff like Capital Punishment, the Vanilla Ice electronic rap game, or Gay Monopoly. All games that normally you'd be unable to play without dropping hundreds of dollars on an eBay listing. Even crazier though are the games that have been preserved here that you'd legitimately have trouble even finding anymore. Such as this game found on the back of a Ritz Bits box, lovingly referred to as Back of the Ritz Bits box. It is actually still possible to get your hands on this game for yourself. You just need to buy an entire case of Ritz Bits for around $72. Dinner and a show? What a steal! Back of the Ritz Bits box sees players try to maneuver their way through this circular path to get to the Ritz Bits. First to get there wins. This game has you move with a coin instead of a die because you're supposed to be able to play this game with whatever you got lying around. Flip heads, you move 1, flip tails, you move 2. A lot of the spaces have you either try to spot the differences or look through the background image to find something, but the absolutely diabolical part of this game is the ending. The second to last space on the board is this move back here space, which pretty much starts you over entirely. And since the coin only lets you move 1 to 2 spaces at a time, the only way to win the game is to flip onto this space and flip the 50-50 chance at winning or going all the way back. There is no way to get around this. With the skip at the start leading directly to this spot too, the playtime for this game could be as little as 2 turns or take eons depending on how lucky you get with that final flip. No ifs, ands, or buts, the luckiest player will win. I also like how poorly cropped the image is, that you can see the floor of the guy who took the picture and that this was posted at 2 a.m. Really brings together the vibe of, if anyone wants to play this, here you go, I don't care. Another much higher quality title in this zone is the scripted Wendy's Kids Meal Kirby Right Back At Ya board game. Once included in your Wendy's Kids meal, the Kirby Right Back At Ya board game allows you to travel one of 2 Kirby racetracks against Kirby's friends and rivals. Draw a card to see how far you move. First one to the end wins. Now, you may have heard scripted in the title there and thought, dang, first the NBA and now my Kirby Wendy's game? But it's not quite like that. You see, Tabletop allows especially smart creators the ability to add scripts to their projects, code that can make certain components in the game act a certain way if a certain condition is achieved. If you ever wonder why none of my projects contain these scripts, that's because I have the technological literacy of a double cheeseburger. What this means in practice is that instead of having to change the game board manually, you can simply click this button and the game will update itself to Game 2 on its own, complete with resetting all of the figures and the cards as well. In addition to that, if you draw the last card from the deck, you can hit the shuffle button here and it will automatically restack and shuffle the cards for you, which is very helpful if one of your goblin friends decides to start throwing the cards around the board. Very cool quality of life feature, much enjoy. But this is not the only scripted game on the platform, and this is really just the basics of what scripting can do. As when you get someone that really knows what they're doing, then things can get pretty crazy. Introducing Candyland, Candyland, a fully scripted version of the children's classic that allows you to completely remove the tedious action of having to draw a card to move, otherwise known as literally the only gameplay. Candyland Candyland utilizes the 2002 version of the board, but comes with a massive scripting overhaul controlled by the side menu here. This allows you to control functions like the size of the board, the speed at which the pieces move, whether the next turn is automatically taken for you, and whether or not the board deletes itself after the game is over. They added a self-destruct button. Finally! Good Candyland! What's great about this game is that if you set the auto next turn feature on, the game will legitimately play itself until there is a winner. So if you add all of the computer players and stream this to your friends over Discord, you could legitimately bet on which color you think will win like you're picking horses at the Derby. Gambling? Yes, legitimate Candyland gambling that is truly random due to how the computer is the one running it. Heck, I'll show ya. Let's run a race right now. Set board size to whale and speed to super and place your bets on your favorite racer. Ready, steady, and they're off! And it's green taking the first turn, but purple immediately takes the rainbow trail and gets a huge lead right at the start. But yellow, drawing the peanuts, will go see Grandma Nuts up by the peanut acres and take the lead from purple immediately. We've got a fast start out on our way, ladies and gentlemen, but purple immediately throws and has to go back to the gingerbread area, leaving yellow with a solid lead, but then orange, green, and white all take the rainbow trail. It's a 4-way race to the finish, but yellow currently has the lead. The other gingerbread men are trying to get up, but White draws the lollipop and goes to see Princess Lolly, but Orange draws the freaking ice cream cone and goes right to the front. It's anyone's race, ladies and gentlemen, but Orange currently holds the lead. Orange continues to take the lead, making a massive, but dark green has to go back to see Mr. Mint. Orange holds on to the lead, but 2 colors, white and yellow, are both trying to get up there first. Can they catch Orange? He is just steps away, and dark green is now moving up to see Princess Frostine, what with the vanilla ice cream cone drawn. It can go any way, ladies and gentlemen. White immediately goes again, and Orange is thrown massively, going back to the lollipop. White now holds the direct lead, but loses a turn on the licorice space. Orange now completely out of the race. One of the worst chokes I've ever seen in my life, has to go all the way back to the start, and yellow is gaining off of White's lost turn. Dark green right behind. Yellow continues to gain. Dark green right there, but White gets to go again, draws a yellow, takes the lead again. Red goes back to the freaking Mr. Mint area, and yellow takes the lead. Yellow takes the lead going into the last turn, and White takes it back. Yellow's gonna need a massive draw here, but moves so slow. White then immediately throws. Yellow takes the lead. Oh my gosh, it's anyone's race, and White gets it. Incredible race, incredible race. Emotions all over. Oh my goodness, if you have bet on White, You are in the money! I do believe it's possible to set up an illegal gambling hub around this and actually ruin someone's life by cleaning them out from Candyland betting. When betting on your gingerbread man, please remember to gamble responsibly. And also remember that scared money don't make money, baby! All on red! Another fun bit about this game is that if you can't decide who will go first, then you can simply hit this button up here and the computer will run an entire game of Candyland on extreme speed to determine first draw. Which, I mean, if you can parlay first draw into predicting the winner, then you're pretty much set. Risk-free investment. But why simply port over a scripted version of a board game when we can instead port over a scripted version of an entire game show? This is Jeopardy! Scripted. It doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Jeopardy Scripted is one of the more complex titles that you can find on Tabletop Sim. What you see before you is a fully functional Jeopardy game board complete with a buzzer system that shows who buzzes in first after the question is unlocked. This is all done by the host, who is able to select each question, distribute points based on answers, and to see those answers to each question on the massive answer board over here that is invisible to all other players. This board also comes with daily doubles that allow players to wager as much as they'd like, a stat track on the side for post-game review, and game-accurate sound effects lifted directly from the show. Wow, you might be thinking, that sure is a lot of stuff going on in the same game as back of the Ritz Bits box. And I would agree with you, but I've only covered about half of the features so far. Also in Jeopardy Scripted is the Double Jeopardy round, which adjusts categories and dollar values automatically, Final Jeopardy, which comes with a wager phase and a question phase complete with Final Jeopardy music, and the ability to load a random question set directly from the show so that you never run into the same game twice. There also exists the ability to look up and import a specific question set directly from the J archive. Or even create your own custom question set if you want a more personalized game for friends. Oh, you know, just literally everything you could possibly want from a Jeopardy game? The amount of effort that went into the creation of this is insane. This is quite possibly one of the best Jeopardy video games out there, let alone the fact that it was built entirely within Tabletop Sim. They even went to the trouble of building a custom stage for the game to sit on to help with immersion and gave the host the option to either play as themselves or anyone who has hosted Jeopardy before, like Alex Trebek, Ken Jennings, or freaking Aaron Rodgers. But why stop at just one fully scripted game show? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play Family Feud! Good lord, if you thought the last one was complex, get a load of this. For starters, let's see what the game looks like when you join in as a contestant. Upon joining the game, you are greeted by a fully customized Family Feud set that features a buzzer for you to use and a fully functional Family Feud game board that reveals answers on a correct guess and brings up an X for an incorrect. Stellar, incredible, looks very sleek. Now let's see what it looks like from the host's perspective. Good lord, man, which one launches the rocket? This dashboard is what the host is going to use to control practically the entire game. Selecting what questions the families will be answering, giving each family their team name, setting the timers and other settings, and even adding in their own custom questions if you want a personalized game like in Jeopardy! Also like in Jeopardy, you can select your own face or choose to play as a previous host. So if you're feeling more of a Richard Dawson atmosphere this time around, you can go ahead and start making out with people. This is all just the setup too. Once the game has started, you have complete control over showing when an answer is revealed, when to flash the big red X, how much time a contestant has to answer before they are X'd, the steal timer, and when answers are dramatically revealed at the end of the round. Points will automatically be added based on correct answers and if the other team steals. And the winning team will be sent to the fast money round to compete for whatever wondrous prize you have in store for them. That's right, $20,000 worth of Red Baron Pizza! Here you have complete control over the timer and when answers are given. And what is really cool is that once the answers are recorded, you can reveal it just like on the show before they show the survey score. A phenomenal touch. Round 2 of Fast Money comes with the already said noise, and good lord, man, this is just so good! Again, this might just be the best Family Feud video game in general, and it was built entirely within the same program that hosted Turkish Monopoly. These two projects are completely insane. Each of these games are of a high enough quality that they could legitimately be sold standalone and be worth the price. And they're just in here buried alongside Our World 2. But I think that's enough out of them. Incredibly interesting, yeah, but definitely way too high a quality for our league. Let's get back to that good stuff. That stuff that makes you go, let's get ourselves some Risk Battle for the Tri-State. Yo, is that an Indiana appearance? Man, Hoosier relevancy's gotta be at an all-time high. Risk Battle for the Tri-State sees you and your friends go to war trying to capture the 3 most important states in America. That's a lie, I cannot give Kentucky that much credit. Acquire territory and build your unstoppable Midwest army. Last player standing wins. Featuring Risk pieces from the original game and a custom map with relevant cities from each state, this game is just a new way to play Risk for people from these states to enjoy. I mean, where else are you gonna see such iconic Indiana locations like South Bend, Fort Wayne, Massive Lafayette, Gary, Indiana, Connorsville? Why Connorsville? Richmond, Newcastle, heck, you can even stretch Shelbyville out there if you're desperate. Now that I'm looking at it, why is Indianapolis so big? Look at how massive this is compared to the real thing. Bloomington was completely obliterated by Long Indy. They just figured out the football team. If Indiana is this wonky, I'd like to hear from the residents of these other 2 states if they've been done just as dirty. I already see some issues, like why is Youngstown here bigger than the entirety of Cleveland, and what the heck is Louisville? Also, the back of the rulebook says that if I'd like to receive an information kit describing how to hold my own Risk tournament, to write to the address below. And since they're also happy to answer any questions I have about the game, I've pinned this lovely letter for them and will be awaiting their response any day now. Now we're going to enter a rapid fire round where I highlight some cool/weird titles and what made them catch my eye. Because we still have a metric butt ton of these games to get through, and I'd like to make more than one video this year. Quad City Pokerdemic effing Wendy's. A custom-made poker table inside of a Wendy's restaurant that includes a blind timer, custom Wendy's cards, and an automatic chip counter. It also features custom-made 3D assets for the Dave's Double, 6-piece nugget, large fry, chocolate frosty, large drink, ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce, honey mustard sauce, ranch, and napkins, all for nothing but cosmetic purposes. This is extremely high effort for nothing but a bit, and probably one of my favorite projects in the entire game. Coup Ultra. A custom version of the card game Coup that expands the amount of rolls from the classic 5 to the much more manageable 41, including the all-new Athlete, Arsonist, Hiring Manager, Gambler, and Exploding Kitten. In order to help keep track of all the new roles and how they interact with each other, it is recommended that you also have this entire spreadsheet open on the side. Fun fact, Coup is one of my all-time favorite games, and I guarantee trying to play this would drive me completely insane. Russian Roulette, a version of Uno where you try to make other players take shots and get their minds blown. This one has the safe Uno deck in the middle and the side Uno deck full of blanks and deadly rounds. If at any point you cannot play a card, you need to take a shot by drawing a card from the side deck, and then check to see if you still have a head left there after flipping the card over. Interesting as running out of cards does not win you the game, it just makes all of the other players take one shot before you draw a new hand. Last player standing wins. And Uno Infinity, a version of Uno featuring over 500 cards across 8 different colors, good lord. Uno Infinity also carries 43 different power cards that all carry unique effects. This game is also played within the vacuum of space so that you can properly look upon the endless expanse of the game's playing time. Good luck out there, Space Boy! And that brings to a close the rapid fire round. Man, we sure have seen some weird titles so far, haven't we? No, not even close. What we've looked at so far are the normal titles. Turkish Monopoly, Connorsville Risk. Compared to what's coming up, these are the games you would find at Target. It's time for you to lock in, buddy boy, because things are about to get freaky. Oh yeah, we're playing Go Fish. Go Fish for Freaks. Go Fish for Freaks is a simple game where you and your friends play a standard round of Go Fish with a few minor changes. The biggest change is that all of the number cards are gone and replaced with various random characters, turning what used to be 14 possible card types in your hand into a much more manageable 207 different cards that you could ask for. Of course, that is 207 unique cards, meaning the total deck size for a standard game of Go Fish for Freaks is a staggering 828. Holy cow. In addition to that though, Go Fish for Freaks also has one other special rule called the Special Rule. Easy to keep track of that one. If a player asks you for a card but doesn't describe it very well and you end up giving them a different one, then you not only get to keep that card, but you also take the card that was asked for from the asker's hand. So, for example, say you asked me, Cam, do you have any ins? I, in my infinite brain fog, say, of course I do. Here you go. This confusion is absolutely not my fault, as I gave you what you asked for. So not only do I get to keep my dancing in, but I also get to take your green-haired in as well. If you don't want this rule to be abused, then you can just have all of the other players vote on whose fault it is when this happens. You can still absolutely get away with it, but the voting will certainly be funny. That's pretty much it for the gameplay of Go Fish for Freaks, but the real standout feature of the game is just how many people jumped at the concept. As I kid you not, Go Fish for Freaks has 14 different expansions on the Tabletop Workshop, and only one of those was put together by the original creator. This is the type of fan engagement that Hasbro could only dream of. Expanding our freaky empire, we have Go Fish for Freaks Official Expansion. The only expansion made by the creator MiniQuinny999, it adds 5 new decks containing hit characters like Nermal, Your Baby, Jimmy Fallon, The Car, Ultra Rare Pot of Greed, Dolly Parton with the Moonlight Greatsword, 1.2% APR, Flinton, and Locked In Fish. In total, this one adds an additional 345 characters to the mix. Go Fish for Freaks Bonus Pack adds an additional 160 characters, including Floorfish, Omega Tiger Woods, Nightcore Fred Durst, Homunculoigi, and Hedgehog named Hetty. The Go Fish for Freaks Jobo 81 and Friends Expansion Pack DLC 1 and DLC 2. 3 different expansions, each containing their own decks to add to the pile. Contains such hits as Fish ATM, Sonic Live, WhatsApp Woody, That One Image of J. Cole, Young Thug Serpent Slayer, Gronk Flakes, Fairy Odd Parent, and How to Unlock Shadow and Brawl. Go Fish for Deer, another deck that adds a bunch of cards that I really don't understand. Standouts include Aubrey Plush frozen in a block of ice, Not Nikola Tesla, and Homophobic Toy Freddy. Go Fish for Freaks, the Stop Fishing expansion, aims to put a stop to all this nonsense with cards like Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, Manolo from the Book of Life, the guy from Coco, I think, and one that is just the back of a regular Go Fish for Freaks card. Okay, that one is going to get somebody killed. Go Fish for Freaks, the Oops All Neko Arc expansion. All of the cards feature some variation of this cat thing in various scenarios, including 4 different versions of it being crucified. Go Fish for Freaks, Hal's Self-Indulgent deck. The best looking group of cards so far contains a ton of characters from Full Metal Alchemist, Star Trek, and 3 different versions of Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Go Fish for Freaks, the Red Herring expansion. Features such fan-favorite characters as Columbo, Facejug, Jesus the Hedgehog, Obelisk the Tormentor, and Virginia, which is only 3 MILFs and 4 minutes away. Go Fish for Fox, which is for some reason hosted on a poker table, adds just whatever the heck is going on here. Go Fool for Fish, which adds lovable characters I can't believe haven't made it in yet, like the McRib, John Cena, and Tall Green. Never Stop Fishing Ultimate Edition for Freaks and Knuckles in Hawaii, I don't even know what I'm looking at anymore. And Go Fesh for Freerf, finally, craft-graded Parmesan cheese. If you were to combine every single expansion that this game has on offer, that would give you 1,585 unique cards that you could ask for, resulting in a total starting deck size of 6,340 cards. If each player took 1% of the deck, as is recommended by the official expansion, then each player's opening hand would consist of 63 cards. And God help you if any of those are a cat girl. Now I think you are well acquainted for the kind of stupid that we have to look forward to from the rest of this section. As if your brain hasn't entered protective melt mode by now, then I recommend getting on that sooner rather than later. Effing Awesome Tenshinhan, the game 3.0. Just as advertised, there he is! Effing Awesome Tenshinhan, the game 3.0, starts off a series of games I like to call the meme boards. All of these games follow a similar theme. Some type of meme takes the center stage, and your goal is to make it to the end of the board. During this process, you will draw various good and evil cards that will bestow a variety of positive and negative effects, each one coming equipped with their very own funny meme to boot. These games are everywhere on Tabletop Sim due to the success of one heinous title that I will get to later. But all you need to know is that there are likely hundreds of these games on the workshop, and I have grown quite sick of looking at Funny Sans Undertale. As such, I will only be highlighting a few of these meme boards if they manage to stand out in some way. This one getting the first nod because it is a great example of this kind of game, and also, come on, it's Tien, look at him, he's got 3 eyes, that's so effing awesome Tenshinhan 3.0. Favorite card from this one, the Horse Slaying Beam, because it has you draw a physical line across the board to possibly hit multiple people. That's rad. Evil Candyland. Journey back to 2014 humor and traverse your way through the MLG swamp, Tumblr, and heck in order to become winner. Honestly, switching out Mr. Mint for the Onceler, I've gotta say, genius play. Evil Candyland is the same Candyland you know and love, except now you roll a die to move, and if you run out of health, they straight up kill you. Don't think that means you get to stop playing though, it just makes you start the entire thing over. Truly evil. Evil Candyland follows a lot of the same ideas as other meme boards, but features a health and defense pool that can increase and decrease over the course of your adventure. It also features multiple decks of cards instead of the standard 1 to 2 to add what I guess can be legally described as depth. There are the candy cards, which are your standard power cards that you use to give yourself a leg up, the land cards, which cause a random effect to happen every time someone takes a turn, the chance cards, which cause even more random effects to happen whenever you land on a question mark, and the summon cards, which grant you a warrior that you can have do battle for you as well as protect you when needed. These could include the mightiest warriors from across all of history, like Bob the Tomato, the Brickster, Scott the Woz, Todd Howard, and Garfield. The evil cards are the last deck, and each of these cards cause some sort of horrific game-altering effect that will completely change the nature of the title, such as all players must do the opposite of what the cards tell them, everyone can only speak 1 syllable at a time, all summons currently on the field are killed, Bob, no! Everyone is now immortal for the rest of the game, and the best one, all players are now refrained from swearing for the remainder of the game. I have never seen a card more tailored to my advantage. You're in my world now. During the course of the game, this timer will be going the entire time, and if nobody has reached the end of the board by the time the timer hits 2 hours, then everyone loses. Too bad, sucker, try again. Big ups to Evil Candyland for making it to where the game has a designated endpoint so that you aren't just stuck here forever. A lot of the other games that we'll be looking at do not offer you that courtesy, like Aubronopoly Final Mix, also known as New Super Aubronopoly 2 Ultimate Deluxe Minecart Rebirth and Knuckles Pro Simulator 2000 Final Chapter Prologue, the movie, the game Final Mix HD Remastered Pocket Edition featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series alongside the new Funky mode for the Wii U. It even comes with nunchuck controls. Oh, whew! New Super All of That Jazz is a custom Monopoly variation created for the Aubrey Plays a Thing channel. In it, you pick from a varied cast of characters who each come with their own unique powers and attempt to navigate whatever the heck is going on here to become the best landlord around. You can do this via a number of ways, like purchasing attractive properties, utilizing powerful items to get you a leg up, or by recruiting supporters to help you on your quest. Last player standing wins. I think my favorite spot on the board is probably real-life New York City because the illustration used to show it is just a picture of New York State. I don't know why, but that one just gets me. The community chest cards are also here. How else are you gonna get food poisoning at Joe's Crab Shack? But the real star of the show for me is probably the fully functional chance time mechanic ripped straight out of Mario Party 2. Shuffle the decks and see what happens. Ooh, looks like Melvin here has to give $400 to the girl from the Dominoes app. Yeah, I'm sure that one will go over real well. There are also a few optional rules, including if you are able to assemble all 5 pieces of the Forbidden One, then you get to play as Mr. Beast for 5 turns. And as expected, he is insanely broken. Also, this thing comes with a fully functional customized Magic 8 Ball, so we have to give that a go. Magic 8 Ball, how are the Colts looking this year? Oh well, isn't that just swell? The Quest for Burger King! What you do here is attempt to get your very own Burger King burger by driving from your house to your nearest franchised Burger King location. This will allow you to advance to the Burger King drive-thru, and if you can survive the various Burger King events that take place, then you can get your very own Burger King burger. Too slow, moron! Oh, this game is just stupid. The board is stupid, from its shortcut through the hood to the big bumping for the Xbox 360 that doesn't do anything to the random Shanghai Whopper. The cards are stupid. The events are stupid. This game is just dumb. I guarantee that if you broke this out with friends, it would be so much fun. This game is too stupid to not be fun. What other game has an entire card dedicated to celebrating the Burger King font? Favorite card? The one that forces you to say, "Hi, welcome to Burger King. What can I get you?" Chicken fries? Mary, get the gun. Crackpipe Uno. Let's take a look at what we've got going on here, and Jiminy freaking Frosties. Crackpipe Uno sees you attempting to get rid of all of the cards in your hand. The only problem with that being that these cards are all from various different sources, so of course they do not work together at all. Some of the cards that you will encounter when playing Crackpipe Uno include standard Uno cards like you would find in the regular game, black Uno cards that are more dark and edgy, Uno Infinity cards that add a bunch of new wilds to the mix, 100 actual Mahjong tiles that just slide in there, I guess, a regular deck of 54 playing cards, 131 Pokemon cards including Mons Energy and Trainer cards, 21 different Cards Against Humanity cards, all of them being the prompt ones, every single major arcana from the Tarot deck, 117 Yu-Gi-Oh cards including monsters, spells, and traps, the latter of which are able to be set inside of each player's respective trap house, 78 Magic the Gathering cards whose effects can still trigger, 33 cards from Twilight Sparkle's secret shipfic folder, which, 12, let me make sure I get this right, Official Topps Desert Storm Collector's cards, which include such hits as the AH-64 Apache, Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney, and a Saddam Hussein rookie card. Yeah, I just looked this up. Yep, these are all real. 45 cards from the previously covered Illuminati New World Order trading card game, 10 each of WWF and WCW trading cards, and 150 cards of just things? It's just a bunch of random stuff that they've managed to come across, including a Blockbuster membership card, a ticket stub for a showing of Return of the King at 7 p.m., a Bazooka Joe comic, many scratched scratch-off tickets, a Cocomelon THC cartridge, this guy, a rewards card to Dave and Tony's premium burger joint with 1 stamp stamped, an Aaron Hernandez rookie card, a DC Metro Smart Trip card, and this random person's Lockheed Martin employment badge. A quick reminder, you are meant to take all of this nonsense, shuffle it all together, and play Uno! The simplest way to play the game, as described in the official rules, is that if you'd like to play a card that doesn't match the set that's currently out there, you just need to explain why playing that card works. For instance, casuals might look at this hand and think that I have no matches, but actually since Margaret Thatcher and the Time Wizard are both effect monsters, I can play her no issue. Now all that's left to do is hope that your friends buy your garbage and you've got yourself a legal move. Each player also comes equipped with 1 advertiser-friendly nondescript pipe that carries a special effect, but honestly, if I spend any more time in here, then I'm scared my soul will be sucked out of my body and added to a card. So let's try to move on to something a little more reserved, something that I can look at well and easily that won't cause widespread mental damage. Morbius, the official Morb game. Yes, the have sex music plays the entire time. No, it never stops. 10 out of 10 no notes. Morbius, the official Morb game, aims to answer the question, is it Morbin time? Find out with the critically acclaimed official Morb game. No, Sony Pictures Entertainment does not endorse Morbius, the official Morb game. Common Sony L. In order to begin your adventure through the Morb game, you will first need to select your character from our myriad of options. There is Morbius. Milo has sex. Scientist woman who? Bartoribus, the train from the subway scene, and guy who gets morbed. Train! 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 The star space says to roll between a 1 and 6 on a d6 to advance 1 space, so whoever is up first gives it a roll, and congratulations! It's Morbin time! Have sex! Yeah! This electric gameplay loop is sure to engross both fans of the movie and newcomers alike. But wait, did you catch the Easter egg? That's right. If you manage to unlock the board and gently move it to the side, you will find some artwork depicting the main character of the movie Morbius. What a find! Something new to discover every day. Alrighty, I think it's about time that we move on from this one, so everybody say goodbye to Jared Leto before we go. Bye, Jared Leto. Good luck with Tron. Now, normally with stupidity this widespread, I would be left to wallow in my own despair, as I am left with no one to take my anger out on. But this is a unique exception, as I do, in fact, have someone that I can point to and say, this is all your fault. And who is that scapegoat? Why, it's none other than Chungus Odyssey. Of course. Should have seen it coming. Chungus Odyssey, and even more so, its sequel, Chungus Odyssey 2, its sequel? Are what I consider to be ground zero for the meme board overload that now inhabits this game. As despite the first one being inspired by another gimmick game, once people saw the success of the Chungus Odyssey series, they had to take a shot at making their own. What kind of success are we talking about here? Well, on the all-time list of the most popular tabletop simulator projects, Chungus Odyssey 1 comes in at 8th, and Chungus Odyssey 2 hits the podium with 3rd. These games have been played hundreds of thousands of times. But what's the big deal? What does this game have that allows it to hold on to such a rabid fanbase? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's load on in and see what it's got. They were not lying. That boy is big. The main goal in Chungus Odyssey 1 is to get to the end and secure the epic victory royale, doing so by moving in a way very similar to the Burger King game from earlier. Honestly, the game is really just roll and see what happens to you. In fact, the only thing that this title has that keeps it from being nothing but a more painful Candyland is the gimmick deck. The gimmick deck. A deck full of gimmicks! Land on a gimmick space and get accosted by one of 150 effects with varying levels of pain. Like, control your mouse with only one finger for a turn. Swap piece colors with another player. Drop a significant object on the floor. Drink water. Eat one bite of paper. Listen to 10 minutes of calm, relaxing music at a high volume. Spell ICUP. Dang it! Set a 5-minute alarm and forget about it. Download Clash of Clans onto your phone and breathe. You are now breathing manually. Yeah, enjoy that one. One part I do like is up here on this knuckle space. Sometimes if you don't follow the game's instructions, you don't just start over, you outright lose and are removed from the game entirely. Great stuff there. They added a mercy mechanic. But just like with Terminator, you can't cover the first without talking about that sequel. So continuing on, it's Chungus Odyssey 2. As you can see here, a new board has been constructed to enhance the Chungus experience. Many more trials were added to the journey, a more fleshed out path split is here to ponder, and crucially, we have some new cards. Firstly, all of the original gimmick cards return alongside 150 new gimmicks to go alongside them, including Pirate a History textbook, Give Me 3 Turtle Facts, and lower your game resolution to the lowest possible for 2 turns. Let me just give that a shot real quick, check in here. Oh, good lord! Additionally, 2 all-new decks have also been added to spice up the gameplay. Make it to the end and hoping to win? Not so fast, buddy. First, you need to draw a finale card. The finale card adds one final challenge that you need to complete in order to win the game, making you earn it one last time to prove that you really are worthy. Well, I say challenges, really stuff kinda just happens to you and you hope that it ends up in your favor. Finale events include move second place to this space and then play rock, paper, scissors to win. You win next turn unless another player reaches this space first. Move second and third place to this space, then determine the winner using a wheel spinner. Move second place to this space and then the group votes on who they think should win. First to roll a 6 on this space wins, last to leave the voice chat wins, you win but draw 8 gimmick cards first, everybody wins except last place, laugh at the loser, choose someone to win that isn't you, and just randomly generate the winner. If that isn't enough whack crap to satiate your hunger, then you could also draw a build card to start the game as well. These cards, now being shown on screen, cause irreparable damage to the rules and completely change the way the game is played. Personally, I'm a fan of the one that just turns the game into Mario Party 9. That one should go over real well. Have you had enough of Big Chungus? I've had enough of Big Chungus. Well, too bad, because this sucker ain't a 1-2 punch anymore. Just last year, we finished off the trilogy! Chungus Odyssey 3. Now complete with 500 gimmick cards, custom rolls that each carry their own unique effects, and 3 different boards that culminate in a final showdown against this vile, disgusting creature. Crawl back into your hole, demon! We will not be going in depth on Chungus Odyssey 3, as I believe we are all well acquainted as to what is going on here by now, and if I have to look at this stupid rabbit for any longer, I might never recover. Wow! Those sure were some strange titles. Golly, if you wanted to, you could torture your friends for ages with those. Ho ho ho, you're in the market for torture? If that's what you're looking for, then that last bunch was just for beginners. You seem like the kind of folk who would be interested instead in my premium collection. The Torture Game. No ifs, ands, or bottoms about it. These games have one goal in mind, and that is to make you suffer. This can be done in a wide number of ways. Rule complexity, reset mechanics, effects that hold nothing but contempt for the player, but the most common way that these bad boys decide to torture their player base is by being unashamedly long. And not the risk or diplomacy type of long, the global survival type of long, where by hour 4 you feel like you've made absolutely no progress. Each of the remaining games has its own little quirk that has earned it its spot on here, so let's begin the final leg of our adventure by beginning the Endless Search, the board game. You are on a fated journey to gather all 8 thicky swole boys and decipher which one of them is the one true sex god. Alright, just another Saturday afternoon. In the Endless Search, you are aiming to move around the board collecting shack dollars in order to try to win the phone numbers of the thicky swole boys. These fine fellas being Gordon Ramsay, Squidward, Waluigi, Ben Swallow, Dan Avidan, Matt Watson, JonTron, and Phil Swift. If it has not become painfully obvious what era of internet humor we are dealing with in this one, then may I remind you that they are still spelling boys with an I. Along your journey, you can stop by lovely locations like Shaq's Apartment, Starkiller Base, and Funny Bear Burger, drawing event cards and gaining skills, all in an attempt to unmask the mysterious man behind the title. I'd go ahead and tell you who it is, but I don't even know myself. Squidward ghosted me 4 months ago, and at this point I doubt I'll be hearing back. This is pretty much the same concept as the other games we looked at, but due to how much you need to collect to hit the win condition, this one is likely going to take much longer to finally finish. Of course, you are still likely to eventually reach the end. That is a luxury not afforded to you by our next title, Tom's Impossible Game. It says a lot when a game that has 50 total spaces carries a minimum playtime of around 3 hours. This game simulates what it is like to go on a standard walk through southern London, avoid the massive amount of dangers, and try to make it a whole 5 miles without dying along the way. Something to note, the game has you walk from Duke Street to Peckham for your journey, and I looked it up, that 5-mile walk would take you 1 less hour to complete than this game. To be fair though, if you die there, you don't get to respawn. What you do here is select your unique Londonite and begin your journey through the jolly old city. Fun fact, if your first roll is a 4, you instantly die. On your adventure, you can gain loot, bans, and favorable events to add to your health, damage, and street cred, which you will need lots of as everything on this board is trying to kill you, including the other players. Yes, as if the constant shots from the board were not enough, every time someone lands on a space occupied by someone else, they immediately attack them. This action is automatic, and you cannot choose to not attack the person on that space. Are we sure this one is in London? This all sounds very Baltimore-esque. Luckily, you do have one thing on your side: checkpoints. Every time you land on a site of grace, you will respawn there when you die instead of going back to start, saving you an immense amount of time, especially when approaching the instant kill space right at the end. Despite there being a checkpoint every 9 to 12 spaces, these were already figured in when that 3+ hour timeline was given, showcasing just how hard it is to make any progress in this game at all. Of course, if that's just a little too easy for you, you can run the classic rule set instead, which disables the checkpoints altogether. Good luck out there, buddy boy. You're getting the full lore-accurate London experience tonight. Milliey's Royale, an urban fantasy multiplayer RPG. What am I even looking at here? Oh, of course, no adventure is complete without passing through No More Heroes for the Nintendo Wii. Milliey's Royale is a combination of the various other torture games on the platform, Mario Party, and a Japanese RPG, as you need to maneuver around the board encountering enemies, events, minigames, loots, curses. Brother, this rulebook is 31 pages long. Quote, in playtesting, the shortest full playthrough took about 4 hours, with one playthrough lasting almost 8 hours. It is advised to take into account breaks and maybe consider playing the game over a couple of days. Sorry, can't come out tonight. We're gonna be finally trying to take out Max Verstappen for good. Okay, so in order to beat Milliey's Royale, you need to obtain the plutonium rod and take it to the portal to the outer realm by defeating one of 6 menacing bosses. If you manage to make it past, you win the game. That's great. Now, in terms of how you actually manage to get to that point, I have no idea. There are so many mechanics, and if you are not fluent in rulebook, then it is hard to even know where to begin. There are 18 different types of spaces that you can land on. McDonald's and Lidl each carry a standard menu and a triggerable flip side menu. If you get caught cheating, you are sent to something called gay baby jail. And all of the minigames are only triggered on the draw of a specific event card. You know, if you don't end up drawing fully animated Peggle 2. I unironically want to subject someone to this at some point. This seems like it would be a miserable time for them, and if you know me, that is exactly what I'm looking for. Well, we've got plenty more where that came from. Experience the future of board gaming with SocksBX's Chat Game 2, dear Lord in heaven. Oh, sorry, it looks like we're missing a bit of the game there. Could you zoom out a bit? Much better. This is the most incomprehensible one yet. How do I know? I'm not entirely sure that I've figured out how to win the game. The rules do not mention a win condition anywhere, and there is one space on the original board that dictates a winner, as well as an entire winner's board that has nothing to do with that. So I had to try to search through the 11-hour stream. Yes, this took them 11 hours to play, and the best thing that I could come up with was that there is no one winner. There is only one loser once every other player manages to get into the winner's board, accessed by rolling a nat 20 on this exact space. Everything else, the Z board, the circle board, the Arctic Ocean board, the whatever this is board, the original board, the Homestuck board, the Heaven board, the League of Legends board, the New York City baby board, and the monster board featuring the dancing Godzilla statue are all worthless. I don't even know what this board is. I don't even think you can reach this. Keep in mind that this game also carries all of the other torture game fun that you've come to expect from these titles. Horrific card effects, numerous reset and sidetrack spaces, and challenges that really push your friends to wonder why they continue to put up with your nonsense. And this time, they get to enjoy that for 11 hours straight, an entire day gone so that you can look at low-quality iPhone 4. Yeah, I gotta say, worth. Staying with our wonderful content creators, we have Joey's Castle 1.2 from Varg Skeletor, aka Vine Sauce Joel. Joey's Castle, aka Mario Party but awful, aka Mario Party but with bald jokes, aka a game made by someone who hates rules so he made a game with an incomprehensible amount of rules, is a very high effort disaster of a board game where it is theorized that a full game has never been played without someone blatantly cheating. What that says about the game itself? Well, I'm gonna leave that up to you. The objective here is to collect the Golden Friend and return him to Joey's Castle without ending up dead along the way. Good luck with that. First person to luck into it wins. Joey's Castle is a very interesting one because it has the same design perspective as the other torture/meme board games that we've looked at before, except for some reason a frankly absurd amount of effort was poured into the design and presentation. Each card comes with custom card designs, 3D assets are dotted across the board for flair, and particle effects have been added to create atmosphere in relevant areas. Just look at the slight smoke effect that has been added to the middle of the acid pit, and you tell me that this game wasn't crafted by someone with a love for spectacle. That's what makes this title even more of a strange case, because at the same time, this was also made by someone with an utter disdain for balanced game design. The rules are practically a suggestion. The only ones that you really need to keep in mind are every 10 turns you draw a world event card, when you die you have to make a death roll to see which afterlife you go to, and you need to land on Joey's Castle with friend to win the game. Other than that, do whatever it takes to keep the game functioning. Now, the basic mechanics of the game are functional. You can play normally moving from space to space, and everything will be fine. But the second some of these card effects start coming into play, everything immediately falls apart, and you kinda just gotta make things up as you go. And you know what? I'll absolutely take a game that's horribly unbalanced on purpose before I take a game that does it on accident. In the accidental nonsense, you're left wondering what the initial vision even was as you waste 7 hours gaining the equivalent of 3 Monopoly dollars. This This was the initial vision. Name all the Beatles or die, idiot. I don't have all day. I love how this isn't even a game where you can turn your brain off either. You have to be paying attention or you're going to get screwed over by an incorrect effect or someone changing the rules while you aren't looking. That's literally how someone won the last official game. No notes. Terrible game. Phenomenal game. Mario Party, but awful, baby. Alrighty, so we've got 4... let's say, things left, and my brainstem is currently running on fumes, so after a quick spin on the wheel, we'll be tackling them in this order. 2 originals, 1 YouTuber, and finishing us up will be a port of a real-world game. Place your bets on what these are now if you didn't go ahead and lose everything to the Candyland ring from earlier. Starting off our final 4, we've got Cosplay Girlfriend Final Update, also known as Cosplay Girlfriend Kiwami 2 for the original PlayStation. Okay, my mistake, looks like we're covering 2 ports. Cosplay Girlfriend Final Update sees you venture through 8 different boards where I guess you are trying to meet Morb here to win. This is the most comprehensible portion of the entire game. So, in the spirit of games that hate you and want you to die, Cosplay Girlfriend features over 900 Cosplay Girlfriend cards and over 100 extra deck cards that mess with you in various ways. Credit where credit is due though, the creator of the game actually went to the trouble of naming every single card so that you can use the search box above them to find specific ones. This takes an absurd amount of time to do to the point where no other torture game I've covered has done it, so you have my biggest thanks, I greatly appreciate it. But enough about the first crumb of mercy I've been thrown in a long time, we've got 8 separate boards to venture through if we are gonna ever meet Morb, so let's take a look at each one. Stage 1, where you begin your journey. Holds all of the cards and Morb bucks and contains both Jail and Morb Town, which many spaces end up sending you to. Favorite interaction on this one? If you touch Megumin's feet here, you are forced to advance 1 space, which causes you to give L all of your cosplay girlfriends, which he has his own separate pile for. To move on, you will want to land on Dark Sanctuary, which will advance you to Stage 2. Stage 2, where things really get serious. Contains Area 51, Burger King, Super Jail, Morbville, Happy 23rd Birthday Angela, and the Path to Las Morbas, where you actually want to go. If you end up overshooting this space, you are immediately sent right back to Stage 1. Favorite interaction, landing on this car will force you to go forward 3, which will send you to Super Jail. But if you discard one of your cards, you can instead move forward 4 spaces, which will send you to Super Jail. The Bone Zone must be sent here by various spaces or effects and contains only beneficial spaces. I imagine that the Bone Zone is only this helpful because by being here, you are forced to look at this monstrosity for an extended period of time. The Gay Zone. The Gay Zone is simultaneously this entire board and also the first space here inhabited by the Faz crew. This board contains mostly negative effects, including such hits as you are now banned from green, skip as many turns as you have eaten bread in your life, draw a card, if you drew a card, discard it and go to jail for 15 turns, if you didn't, die, and of course, whatever is going on here. Favorite interaction? If you land here, Shadow will give you a compliment. You can either say thank you or go forward 1 space. If you go forward 1 space, then you get to move forward 2 spaces. If you move forward 2 spaces, then you are gay and must go back to the start of the Gay Zone. Hey, I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. Flesh Pyro's Domain, only accessible via the Gay Zone. You know it's good when it carries the rule, you cannot kill yourself in Flesh Pyro's Domain. Forcing you to move in a circle and full of nothing but negative effects, the only way to leave Flesh Pyro's Domain is to land on this space twice in a row, in which case you die and can start the game over. New Morbshire. The first board that it is possible to win from, this board is made up entirely of stop spaces that force you to stop when you hit them, meaning that here, you are only able to move 1 space at a time. So if you can make it through 102 turns moving 1 space at a time, you win the game. The black market. Another board that it is possible to win from. You can move in any direction you want and can draw from one of two decks if you land on their spots. The jackpot deck contains a bunch of useless cards for the most part, but if you manage to draw all 5 pieces of Exodia, then you win the duel. You can also draw from whatever this deck is, which contains various cards that allow you to skip 25 spaces ahead in New Morbshire. This means that if you can get 4 of these cards and land here, you can force everyone into a spot where they can only move 1 space at a time and earn a 100 space head start immediately. Someone has definitely managed to fumble this lead before, I guarantee it. And finally, Las Morbas. The intended way to win the game, if you can gain 50 Morb bucks through the various space effects, then you can pay those 50 on this space to win the game. There is also a space where you need to give all of your Morb bucks to L if you land here, which means there's a good chance that at the end of the game, L will leave the game with both the most money and the most women. Now, I haven't seen the show that he's from, but just by taking one look at the guy, yeah, I'd say that's probably accurate. Overall, a pretty simple game to understand, yeah? Yeah, that's only because I just explained it to you after having to figure out all of that crap myself. What you didn't see was me looking back and forth around the board for like an hour and a half trying to see how everything connected together. And on top of that, I literally just figured out that there's another win condition in the form of the Forbidden Goblin Incantation card. This bad boy's full of surprises. Of course, if we're going to be talking about torturing your friends, then we've got to get back to the classic, Monopoly. But not just regular Monopoly, no, that game is too streamlined, too easy to understand. If we're looking to dish out some real torture, then we need some kind of advanced Monopoly. No, we need ultimate Monopoly. No, we need insane Monopoly. No, we need insane Monopoly pyramid scheme. No, we need insane Monopoly cruel and unusual punishment. Okay, sounds good, like the name, but what makes you think you're up to the challenge? The very first page of the rulebook is a release of rights and liability legal disclaimer. That's what I'm talking about right there, yes sir! Insane Monopoly Cruel and Unusual Punishment is an unofficial expansion for the beloved tabletop title Insane Monopoly Pyramid Scheme. What you do in this one is suffer and die. I was originally going to have this segment focus on Pyramid Scheme, what with its 257 buyable properties across 2 boards and an estimated playtime of 16 to 22 hours, I felt that it had the sauce necessary to occupy a space this far into the video. Then I stumbled across Cruel and Unusual Punishment and thought, oh wow, I legitimately can't even write a background on this. Yeah, we'll go with that one. Full stop. I have no idea how you're meant to play this game. All of the others I could eventually figure out by brute forcing my way through the rules and eventually getting a handle on things. Here, I'm completely lost. After the hybrid debacle, I've learned when it's best to just throw in the towel. The rulebook is 47 pages long, there are 9 specialty boards, and just to even play the thing, you need to have downloaded 13 other tabletop sim projects. I never stood a chance. I do still have access to the rulebook, and will now take the time to highlight the delectable whack crap that you can expect to encounter if you ever become foolish enough to try to take this one on. Within this cruel and unusual punishment, you can find a working subway system with converging routes that is able to transport you through the city, a work-in-progress bridge infrastructure project that slowly becomes completed as the game progresses. Once it is done, players can travel it like a normal path. A rent system that has renters pay the money to the bank and only pays out to the owners when they land on that color set to collect it. A Brazil board where you can end up trapped in the Amazon rainforest. A super jail board complete with its own prison layout and economy. Once you leave super jail, you are on parole for 5 turns. A casino board that features the ability to play games like high-low, blackjack, roulette, a slot machine, and effing Keno. We really had to appeal to the Keno crowd here. A fully functional health and combat system. An experience tracker used to level up. a stock market mechanic that utilizes an included spreadsheet that will be used to track the performance of the market and dividend payouts. Also in that spreadsheet is where you will track the local economic balance of Chaos City, including population, employment, homelessness, supply and demand, and the housing bubble. A fully functional insurance system where players can purchase coverage plans from the Monopoly National Insurance Company to protect themselves from various negative effects by filing claims. Of course, this is going to cost you a premium before every roll while you hold that policy. Corporate statistics and boardrooms rules, which I just don't understand. A Manhattan Project item set where collecting 5 of these cards allows you to drop a nuclear bomb on 2 adjacent districts, causing a negative effect to the district stock prices. Any players located in these districts are also immediately killed. And finally, the booklet for Monopoly Legal Tax Codes Fiscal Year 2024, October. This booklet is used to determine which tax bracket each player falls into and the appropriate taxes that must be paid out on both income and assets owned by those players. There are even special tax exemptions for players that end up falling below the poverty line, and okay, I think we're done here. To anyone that actually ends up attempting this, good luck, you are a brave soul, but when I start getting told that I'm not in the right tax bracket by my virtual Monopoly game, that's where I sign off. I'm out of here. It honestly doesn't even work too well as a torture game because it's going to be nearly impossible to convince anyone to play. If you tell your friends to come try out this new game and they load into this, they might just refund Tabletop right then and there. However, if anyone would be able to do it, I think it would be the one man that has become quite proficient in both the design and deception needed to pull off a good torture game. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to enter the world of the Veilfisk collection. For those not in the know, Veilfisk is a YouTuber who has for some reason made it his life's mission to design custom experiences for his friends with the aim of causing them as much mental damage as is legally allowed. He has done this in a myriad of different ways, such as making custom maps in established video games, developing his own entire video game for this express purpose, and most famously, crafting custom board games that he and his friends can play via Tabletop Simulator. These can range from horribly mangled versions of established board games to completely original creations, each one lovingly crafted from the ground up for the sole purpose of destroying what little sanity you have left. What's great about this is that more often than not, he is then able to take these custom projects and make them public so that everyone has the opportunity to suffer. What a kind and charitable soul. Veil has 5 tabletop projects to his name, which I will highlight here in whatever order feels right to me. Of course, if you'd like to see them in all their mind-crushing glory, his videos of each are linked below. Havoc of the Tainted Throne. A board game whose rule set, card effects, and battle mechanics were created entirely by ChatGPT with little regard to how that would affect the balancing or how much sense any of the events would make. Havoc has you select a character and a secret win condition and move through a dungeon full of dangers, events, and items that were also all constructed by ChatGPT, leading to stuff like finding the bag of infinite snacks but only contains kale chips, being attacked by a balloon with a knife tied to it, and encountering a door that refuses to open unless you profess your love of libertarianism. The standout feature of this one is the combat mechanic, where if you enter combat with another player, you need to make an argument as to why your character would win in that specific fight. After both sides finish making their arguments, everyone else votes on who they think would win to determine the victor. Look, it says infinite snacks, that means if I put it on your head, you're going to drown. Yeah, but you've also got the necklace of paranoia, which means that you cannot trust that those snacks are really endless. Oh, he's got you there. Veilfisk's very normal and unmodified game of Guess Whom! A custom version of Guess Who featuring original artwork, this game comes in 4 variations. The Big People Edition, a wide variety of 322 differently detailed faces, carrying different hair, accessories, facial expressions, the whole 8.5 yards. The Bald Men Edition, a smaller grouping of 75 bald men who each have very slight differences between them, including such noticeable changes like one less dot below an eye, their monocle being moved a little to the left, or one slightly different mustache hair. There is also Terry. Hi, Terry. Versus Edition, a combo title where one player plays with the bald men and the other player plays with the big people. And Gaslight Edition, the same game conceptually as Versus Edition, but with one distinctive change. Neither the big person nor the bald man the players are trying to guess actually exist on either board. They are trying to find a character that isn't even real. Diabolical. Veilfisk's realistic Monopoly, do not recommend. A version of Monopoly where instead of buying properties outright, you need to put a down payment on properties before calculating the yearly interest payments needed to pay off the rest of the property over a 30-year mortgage. Video games are an escape. You may remember that I've previously mentioned this one before in the Worst Monopoly Ripoffs video due to how the idea behind this joke game made the very serious real-life title Joel Harden's Mogul look like an outright fool. Veilfisk's realistic Game of Life, a custom version of the Game of Life featuring all new spaces and new jobs that more closely resemble careers in the real world, like telemarketer, Dubai poop truck driver, and ape urine collector. The game features a ton of custom artwork and carries two standout features that set it apart from other Game of Life titles. For one, each job now carries its own deck of effects that you draw from whenever you land on a stop job space. These are all uniquely tailored to your specific career and can either be positive or negative effects, with some standout examples being swindling a grandmother out of $75 in a telemarketing scam and feeling really genuinely awful about it, betting and losing your smallest child at the casino, and the entire Pro League player deck being nothing but negative effects. The toughest job there is. And for two, going to college still rewards you with a better career on average, but in order to go to college, you need to take out a $150,000 loan at a 6.8% APR. This loan will continue to accumulate interest every turn you do not pay it off, so if you go to college and draw the wrong job, you will pretty much immediately lose the game due to drowning in debt. Out of all the Veilfisk titles, I think this one is my favorite. And of course, the most famous of the bunch, Veilfisk's Torture Game. This is a custom-made board game specifically designed to be as awful to play as possible, including a board design full of obstacles and setbacks, mechanics made to drive players crazy by forcing them to do nothing but impressions and movie quotes, question cards that are nearly unsolvable by most of the world populace, and one card that will reset all board progress approximately once or twice an hour.
Get taken the L.
This is hour 4, and the game has just reset.
In its current form, the game is borderline unfinishable. The game is also, in its current form, completely unplayable, as despite the other projects under his belt being made public for all to try, the Torture Game has not been published to the Tabletop Workshop. This can be due to a variety of factors, but the most realistic one is due to the game relying on a bunch of background files for both the questions and the board, making publishing it in a way that would be able to be played like it is in the video almost impossible. Of course, Veil likely has his hands full for the foreseeable future on a different project which also has found its home on Tabletop Simulator. It's a fun little title that we've covered on here before, and it's one that you can reliably get together with your friends and enjoy for many, many nights to come. That's right, ladies and gents, why waste your time playing a nice, condensed adventure when you could be playing the Tabletop Simulator edition of the Campaign for North Africa, The Desert War, 1940 to 43. That's right, it's all contained in this little button right here. So let's click on in and watch how long it takes to even load the gosh dang thing. No other project I've clicked on has taken more than 5 seconds. But load in it does, and here it is! A fully functional rendition of the world's longest board game, complete with the full map containing land, weather, and calendar trackers, every counter in the game to be added to the board when needed, and all of the rule documents including the full rulebook, land game rules of play, air and logistics rules of play, Axis exclusive and Commonwealth exclusive charts and tables, and even the 10-page post-production errata that was meant to fix problems within the original rule set after its publication. Believe it or not, during the production of the errata, problems were found in the rules, and in the process of correcting them, the errata also screwed up some of those same rules again. An issue that Andy and James from War with a Mate told me about when I called them to check in on their attempt to actually beat the darn thing. Needless to say, 2 separate rulebooks getting the same rule wrong can end up causing quite an issue.
These are ones that we found ourselves, so we will self-publish these eventually, just so the world knows what else is wrong.
Extra addender is a liar. They put a number where it was supposed to be a letter.
Yeah, and then the other addenda is also incorrect and lies about that.
7 generations of people will run through this rulebook, and that exact same rule will be wrong every single time someone tries to fix it.
I don't think there's any way to truly fix everything in this game. I think every time you fix one thing, another leak springs.
I love that this is in here for 2 reasons. 1, it gives people the opportunity to play the game who otherwise never would have been able to. This game is nowadays running over $1,000 on the resale market, so unless you have money that you are able to just light on fire, the prospect of even seeing this thing was very, very low. Now all you need is a Steam account and $20, and you can have a version that can not only save your progress, but also takes up 0 real-world space. A massive benefit when dealing with a game board that's over 9 feet long. And with all of these barriers to entry lowered, I can confidently say that you should absolutely 100% never play this game. My second reason that I'm glad this is here is that it removes a lot of the mystique surrounding the game. But not in a boring, the Kraken was likely a giant squid type way, more of a, we found the Loch Ness Monster and all the stories were 100% true. Anyone that has previously heard of the campaign for North Africa and thought, okay, yeah, but it can't be that bad, can now hold all of the rules and pieces in their digital hands and realize that, oh, it is that bad. There is a reason that this game has never had a single documented finish of the full playthrough. Some of the scenarios have been completed, but as for the whole 100-turn full campaign, no one has gotten anywhere close. Those lovable scamps on the War with a Mate podcast have been putting multiple hours a week into this darn thing for over a year, and by their current estimation, it will take them 48 years to finish it. So thank you, the Campaign for North Africa, the Desert War 1940-43 on Tabletop Simulator, for gifting the world with a 3-dimensional glimpse into the absolute monstrosity that has been laid bare across this 9-foot-long Kraken gaming table. May you continue to claim more victims as they succumb to their own hubris. And that should put a neat little desert-colored bow on the worst and weirdest of Tabletop Simulator. And whether you consider yourself more a fan of the ports, the memes, or the torture, I think that there is one thing that all of us can manage to agree on. $300 for all the DLC? Yeah, I'm sticking with Turkish Monopoly. Signing off for just a week away, I am KamSandwich. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.
A special thank you to my suppliers, staff, and chefs over at the deli, as well as the media preservers helping me get these rare games ported for the public to enjoy. If you'd like to join the crew, you can take a look using the link in the description below.